Shaq Leonard was released surprisingly by the Indianapolis Colts. Very, very shocking move. Shaq Leonard was very, very surprised, did not know how to take it. And shout out to him because the same day that he was released, Shaq Leonard was out there in his part of town in Indianapolis passing out 200 turkeys and sides to families for Thanksgiving. And just a class act guy, right? You have no complaints about the way that Darius, aka Shaq Leonard, is really able to play, man. I mean, seriously, the way that he is able to play, the way that he's played in the past years for Detroit, and just when he was brought in out of the draft, the Colts fans have always loved this guy. I've always had a lot of respect for this guy in the NFL, and especially at the linebacker position because he's able to cover very well. You go look at his stats. He had a year with 4 interceptions. He had a year with 5 interceptions at the linebacker position. And I feel like when you can find a linebacker in today's NFL that actually is able to cover well and cover to the extent that Shaq Leonard can, you have a real asset on your defense. And, here kind of goes the report here. One day after being told he was benched, linebacker Shaq Leonard received the news that he was being waived by the Colts on Tuesday. He's a 6-year player, 3-time first team All Pro, said it was very shocking. He asked for a November meeting. He said, I guess I got a November meeting. You got to be careful what you asked for. And his coaches and his team and everything had been in communications with the Colts and the defense, just talking about how his role was very reduced. And he did have the 2 back surgeries last season, which of course did take him out of the flow of things. He had some nerve issues that were impacting his lower body and really limiting his explosiveness from that Shaq Leonard that we had come to know and love in the NFL. But even when he was recovering, his playing time had been a little inconsistent, but the coaches told him that they were going to work with him through it and kind of go through the motions and revisit it as the season went on. But unfortunately, in his last couple games as a Colt, in their eyes, and even when you look on the tape, he didn't have the most enticing game from the linebacker position, knowing how we've come to expect Shaq Leonard, to play. And even between Monday and Tuesday, he was told on Monday he was benched. Tuesday, he was going to be waived. Shaq himself said, I didn't feel like much had really changed. He left the possibility open to, kind of be flexible in this offense, and the pushback that he was receiving, or rather giving, over his limited role definitely had an impact on what the team was going to do, because we know sometimes teams can say, hey, if you're pushing back in any way, if you have something to say, they might just view that as noise, trying to be a distraction, disrespectful, and they might move on from you. We've seen the Patriots do it. We've seen the Saints do it. And at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. And if you really look into why they did possibly cut Shaq Leonard. Of course, the 5th-year guy, EJ Speed, is going to be coming in to take over for him. Middle linebacker Zaire Franklin as well can plug in here for the Colts. But I mean, Shaq Leonard, 2018 second-round pick, defensive rookie of the year, very, very clutch playmaking. The Colts call him the Maniac. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2018, 2020, and 2021. In 70 games with the Colts, he had 32 TFLs, 31 passes defended, 12 picks, 17 forced fumbles, and 7 fumble recoveries. Of course, Jim Osei, amidst his crazy ass sideways comments, did say that he enjoyed the Maniac being there. Of course, Chris Ballard says that he is the ultimate competitor. But here's the big reason why they really moved off Shaq Leonard. It was money. Shaq Leonard had been hurt the last couple of years. He was coming off 2 back surgeries. He was getting into his 6th year in the league. And because the trade deadline has passed, he has to clear waivers before becoming a free agent, despite being a very seasoned veteran. The remaining balance of his $15.7 million base salary for 2023 is guaranteed, so he will get his money, but the future parameters of the contract are significant. He signed the 5-year, $99 million deal back in 2021. The deal was scheduled to run through 2026, but there were no guarantees beyond this year, of course, when they waive him. So the Colts get out of that money situation with Shaq Leonard. Releasing him saves more than $16 million in salary cap space in 2024, which he would have had a cap hit of $20 million, which is a lot for a linebacker that isn't producing for you in the middle of a time where Shane Steichen is in there at the coach, and they're kind of going through this rebuilding phase. Of course, you see Anthony Richardson emerging, and it's unfortunate how he gets hurt the year as well. More than $50 million was left on Shaq's deal from 2024 to 2026. So it is very unfortunate that Shaq Leonard was cut and let go. I do think he's got a pretty big market, unfortunately. I've got 6 teams here that I think he could land with, but it's unfortunate, but I understand why. The NFL is a business. It's about money. They draft your replacement the year that they draft you, and if you're not performing, getting up there, not even getting up there in age, really, because Shaq Leonard is. I want to make sure I have his age correct. He's only 28, so he's getting up towards 30. And a lot of people in the NFL, and even with players, like once you get past that 26, 27 threshold, your body kind of starts to deteriorate. It isn't necessarily the same when you're talking about back surgeries involving nerve issues as well, not playing well in your last couple of outings. It was hard for the Colts to do. It was hard for Shaq Leonard to really absorb that. He didn't expect it to happen because the day before he was told that he was being benched. But again, shout out to him for not letting that perturb him. Hope he had a good Thanksgiving. I know he blessed 200 families with Thanksgivings and side dishes out in Indianapolis. Let's look at Shaq Leonard landing spots. First one I'm going to say is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles definitely need linebacker help. They have been decimated in the linebacker room. The secondary has been a part of this team that has been suspect. And Howie Roseman likes to make big moves. He trades for DeAndre Swift on draft night. He trades for AJ Brown on draft night. I mean, just the players he takes in the draft, the trades he's willing to make for Kevin Byard over from the Titans. Hopefully he can continue to play well or at least get better with Philadelphia. And this is just the type of team that would really bring in Shaq Leonard at the 9-1 record, wanting to stay hot at the 9-1 record, wanting to stay at the top of the NFC in the first seed. And why not bring him in on a team with a Nakobe Dean, with a Jalen Carter, with Lord, Jordan Davis? Why would you not want to bring a young linebacker in who is proven to play very well? Again, we just read off his numbers, the way that he's played in the 70 games with Indianapolis. He would be a great fit with the Eagles. They need secondary help. They need linebacker help. They are pushing towards the Super Bowl. I love how they go from the easiest to the toughest schedule, still playing their lights out. It will continue to complement that 26-2 record of Jalen Hurts in his last 28 starts. And the Eagles will be the perfect team to take a swings for Shaq Leonard and really get that coverage aspect out of him greatly. I think that they would be able to really help him fit into that defense there. The Buffalo Bills could also use Shaq Leonard as well. We know that they lost Matt Milano earlier in the year. He was a great linebacker playing in an all-pro season. We know that they lost a corner in was it Jordan Poyer? I know they were going through the ringer. There's so many players that I talk through and go through. I was like, is it Jordan Poyer? Is it Micah Hyde? Let me see, because I want to be sure here. No, Jordan Poyer is still playing. Was it Micah Hyde that they lost? Who did they lose for the season? I can't remember for the life of me. Okay, I think it was, let's see. No, he's playing as well. Hell, I don't know, man. There was some secondary player that they lost for the year, or maybe that they just lost him for a couple of games. Bills fans, don't get in the comments and flame me. I know when teams are on here listening to the show, or fans of the team that listen to the show, they want to flame me for everything that comes out of my mouth. All I know is Matt Milano was hurt, and the Bills could use that to, really get into that dark horse Super Bowl contender mode, like I was talking about, and, bring him in there with a Jordan Poyer, with a Micah Hyde, with a Greg Russo, with all of the guys that are on the defensive line for the Buffalo Bills. And this would just be a big move for them to make as well. It could be some new energy, next to a Von Miller. We even forgot about that. Von Miller still kicking up, trying to get back, in his stride. So the Bills taking a swing for Shaq Leonard will be great. I think the Dolphins would also be good as well. Their defense looked good today on Black Friday against the New York Jets. But, with Jalen Ramsey coming back a couple weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, that really helped them get into get into the swing of things. And we know that the Dolphins, outside of not being able to beat highly competitive or even competitive teams at all, the Dolphins need to get a defense. They need to get a defense to help them stay in these games, because if the Dolphins, which I didn't put on the dark horse list because a lot of people think they're going to go, I don't think they are. So therefore, I'm not going to say they're a dark horse. But the Dolphins have to get a defense to stay in these games late in the season, in the games where they're going to have to play tough, in the games where the offense is able to put up points. But if the defense is turning right around and having the offense needing to get back out there again, that's going to be tough when it comes, later on in the season, especially in the playoffs. There's divisional games, Super Wild Card weekend, divisional round. Those type of situations are going to matter, and I think Shaq Leonard could really provide value for the Dolphins. Broncos also. Broncos are a defense that's hot right now. Adding Shaq Leonard can make them even hotter, really utilizing his coverage aspect. We know that Justin Simmons is there. We know that Patrick Surtain is there. So to put someone on that front seven that could have that coverage ability like Shaq, and I know all these teams that I'm mentioning, he's not going to jump in and play a ton of the snaps. But even if he came in and played maybe 25 to 35 or 40% of the snaps and just gave some good rotational supplemental value to the teams that I'm mentioning here, I think the Broncos would be a great fit for him because we know over the last few weeks in their win streak, only the Steelers have a better defense than them in terms of points per game given up. And the 70 burger from, months ago is definitely skewing their their defensive points per game given up, and the Dolphins, or not the Dolphins, the Broncos, the way that they're playing right now, they could really use a Shaq Leonard to just keep that energy going, keep that rebuild and that retooling of this season, and getting back to that good team of the Broncos going. The Detroit Lions as well. The Detroit Lions defense, they're actually good at stopping the run. So not only could they use Shaq Leonard in that aspect, but again, complementing his coverage aspect, the Detroit Lions could jump in and steal Shaq Leonard off waivers. They could go out there and claim him and, put him next to a Jack Campbell, put him next to an Alex Anzalone, put him behind an Aiden Hutchinson, put him behind a good defensive line that could be better in terms of sacking the quarterback, but they're solid in terms of stopping the run. They were dead last in the NFL, either second to last or dead last. It was either them or the Chargers, and whoever it wasn't at the 31 spot flopped over. Well, but both of those teams were horrible at defending the run last year, and the Chargers are now, or not the Chargers, the Lions are now sixth in the NFL in defending the run, but they could really use that coverage aspect, still be better in terms of defensive points per game, and especially pass yards per game given up defensively as well. And then the last one I'm going to say here is the Minnesota Vikings. I believe that they could very well scoop in and pick up Shaq Leonard. We already see them pick up Josh Dobbs and kind of have momentum of reigniting a player and bringing them into a defensive scheme that can suit them well, because we know that, some of the Vikings defense is old. And if they're sitting at that 6-5 record and think that they can make a playoff push in the NFC and go through the NFL playoffs, and I think Shaq Leonard to the Vikings would be a good pickup. And his market is big. There's more than just these, 6 teams here that could go for him. And what this really feels like is when Bobby Wagner left the Seahawks, when Von Miller left the Broncos, and now with Shaq Leonard leaving the Colts, I think we're going to see an invigoration here of, or a reinvigoration of his career, and we've seen players like a Geno Smith just come out and ball after being doubted and being slept on. And it's not an exact correlation because Geno, unfortunately, was a bust from the beginning. Shaq has never been that. But knowing that his home team moved on from him, knowing that it was a wave the day after they said he was going to bench him, the week of Thanksgiving. I mean, that's got to be tough. I was shocked as hell when I saw it when it came across my phone. But the Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Broncos, Lions, and Vikings all have a chance to go and capture Shaq Leonard and reignite his NFL career, because it's far from over. He is on the good side of 30 years old.